The gentle dawn moved through the darkness of space like a silver fish in an ocean. Inside the ship, Captain Lyra stood on the bridge with her long ears pointing upward. She was nervous, but excited. Today would change everything. Today, her people would meet humans for the first time. Lyra came from Valar, a world with soft grass and gentle winds. Her people looked like deer that walked on two legs. They ate plants and lived in peace. War was something they read about in old history books, not something they understood. Next to her stood Kessa, the chief science officer. She had long, rabbit-like ears and soft gray fur. For 20 years, Kessa had studied Earth's radio signals. She had listened to human music, watched their entertainment programs, and read their literature. Everything told her that humans were kind and peaceful. "Captain, we are approaching Earth's orbit," said the navigation officer. Lyra nodded. Her hands shook a little. "Send the friendship message again. Make sure they know we come in peace." The message went out in multiple languages. It explained that the Galactic Council wanted to meet humanity and welcome them to the larger community of intelligent life. Lyra expected a warm response, maybe some excitement. Instead, alarms started screaming. "Captain, we have multiple contacts," the sensor officer said, his voice high with fear. 12, no, 20 vessels approaching at high speed. They have weapons locked on us." Lyra's heart raced. "But we sent the friendship message. We explained we mean no harm." "They are not stopping, Captain." On the main screen, Lyra saw the human ships. They were dark and angular. Nothing like the smooth curves of council vessels. They looked dangerous. They looked like they were built for fighting, not for exploring. A human voice came through the speakers. It was deep and commanding. "Unidentified vessel. This is Lieutenant Jake Morrison of Earth Defense Force. Cut your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any hostile action will be met with immediate destruction." Kessa stepped forward. "Captain, let me speak to them. I know their language well." Lyra nodded, unable to speak. Kessa activated the communication system. "Hello, Earth Defense Force. We are the Gentle Dawn from the Galactic Council. We came to meet you and offer friendship. Please, we mean no harm to your world." There was a pause. Then the human voice came back. "Maintain your current position. Our escort will guide you to landing Site 7 in Nevada. Do not deviate from the flight path. Do not activate any weapons systems. Do not scan our planet. Is that understood?" "Yes, we understand," Kessa said quickly. "We will follow all instructions." The human ships surrounded the Gentle Dawn. They moved with perfect coordination, like a pack of wolves circling prey. Lyra had never seen anything like it. Council ships moved slowly and carefully, always concerned about accidents. These human ships moved with aggressive confidence. "They treat us like enemies," Lyra whispered. "Perhaps they are just careful," Kessa said, but she did not sound convinced. The landing took 3 hours. The whole time, human ships watched them. When the Gentle Dawn finally touched down on Earth's surface, Lyra could see armed soldiers surrounding the landing area. They wore hard armor and carried weapons. "Why do they have so many weapons?" asked the navigation officer. "Do they think we will attack them?" Lyra had no answer. On council worlds, you rarely saw weapons. Police might carry small stunners, but nothing like what she saw below. The human soldiers had rifles, pistols, and equipment she could not identify. They looked ready for war. "Captain, we should go meet them," Kessa said. "Show them we are friendly." Lyra agreed. She selected a small team and they walked down the landing ramp. The moment they stepped outside, Lyra felt wrong. The air was thick and heavy. The gravity pulled at her bones. How did humans live in such harsh conditions? A human approached them. She was female, wearing a white coat over practical clothing. Her hair was pulled back tight, but what made Lyra's breath catch were her eyes. They faced forward, both pointing the same direction. predator eyes, eyes made for hunting. "Welcome to Earth," the human said with a smile that showed her teeth. "I am Dr. Lisa Grant. I will be your liaison during your stay." Kessa stepped forward and extended her hand in the human greeting gesture she had learned from broadcasts. "Thank you, Dr. Grant. I am Kessa, and this is Captain Lyra. We are honored to meet your people." Dr. Grant shook Kessa's hand, then Lyra's. Her grip was firm, strong. Lyra felt the muscles in the human's hand and arm. This was not the soft grip of a plant eater. This was the grip of something that could break and tear. More humans approached. One was a tall male in military uniform. His shoulders were broad and his walk was confident. He moved like a hunter. His eyes swept across the area constantly, checking for threats. Lyra realized with horror that this was natural for him. He did it without thinking. "I am Colonel Ben Hayes," the male said. His voice was deep and carried authority. "I will oversee security during your visit. I hope you will be comfortable." "Thank you," Lyra managed to say. They were taken to a building where a meal had been prepared. The council team was relieved to see plants and vegetables, but there was other food too. Meat, cooked flesh from animals. The smell made Lyra feel sick. Colonel Hayes sat down across from Lyra and cut into a large piece of red meat. Blood-like juice ran across his plate. He ate with clear enjoyment, his teeth tearing through the flesh easily. Those teeth were not flat like Lyra's. Some of them were pointed, made for eating meat. Lyra's vision went dark around the edges. She tried to stand, but her legs would not work. The last thing she heard before she fainted was Kessa's voice, high and frightened. "They are predators. Oh, blessed stars, they are predators." When Lyra woke up, she was in a medical room. Dr. Grant stood over her with a concerned expression. Behind the doctor, Lyra could see guards, more humans, more predators. They were surrounded by predators on a predator world, and there was no escape. "Captain Lyra, you are safe," Dr. Grant said gently. "You just had a panic attack. It is probably the gravity and air pressure. We should have been more careful." But Lyra knew the truth. It was not the gravity or the air. It was the terrible realization that humanity was not what they expected. Earth was not a world of peaceful plant eaters who made art and music. It was a death world that had produced apex predators. And those predators had radio, spaceships, and nuclear weapons. Kessa appeared at her side, her face tight with fear. "Captain, we need to contact the council. They need to know what humans really are." Lyra nodded slowly. The council thought they were welcoming a new prey species into the galactic community. But they were wrong. They were inviting predators. And Lyra had no idea what that would mean for the future of the galaxy. The news spread through the Galactic Council like fire through dry grass. Humans were predators, carnivores, apex hunters from a death world. The council chambers erupted in panic and argument. On the council station orbiting Valar, representatives from 70 species debated what to do. Most wanted to quarantine Earth immediately. Some suggested abandoning contact entirely. A few, very few, argued for patience and understanding. High Counselor Dren, a massive slug-like being from Moltar, raised his voice above the chaos. "We cannot ignore this threat. Predator species are dangerous and unpredictable. We have seen this before with the Kreth swarm. We must protect ourselves." But Kessa stood before the council, her small body trembling but her voice firm. "With respect, High Counselor, humans are not like the Kreth. They have art, music, philosophy. They have families and love. Yes, they are predators, but they are also intelligent and capable of great kindness." "How can you defend them?" another counselor demanded. "You saw them eat flesh. You saw their weapons." "I saw them welcome us despite their fear," Kessa replied. "They could have destroyed our ship. They had the power, but they chose peace." After hours of debate, the council reached a decision. Kessa would return to Earth as an ambassador, along with a small observation team. They would study humanity and report back. Based on their findings, the council would decide humanity's fate. Kessa returned to Earth 3 weeks later. This time, she came alone in a small shuttle. The human fighter escort was still there, but Lieutenant Morrison's voice was friendlier over the radio. "Welcome back, Kessa. We have prepared a place for you to stay." "Thank you, Lieutenant Morrison." Instead of the military base, Kessa was taken to a suburb outside a city called Phoenix. The houses were small and surrounded by green grass. Human children played in yards. It looked peaceful, almost normal. Dr. Grant walked with her to a house with blue walls and a white fence. "You will be staying with the Clark family. They volunteered to host you. I think you will like them." The front door opened and a human family emerged. The male was tall with short dark hair and strong shoulders. He wore casual clothes, but Kessa could see the discipline in how he stood. Military training, she guessed. "Hi, I'm Danny Clark," he said with a smile. "This is my wife Amy and our daughter Sophie." Amy was smaller with kind eyes and long brown hair. She held a plate of cookies. "Welcome to our home, Kessa. We are so happy to have you." Sophie was young, maybe 10 years old in human years. She bounced with excitement. "Are you really from another planet? Do you have spaceships? Can you fly?" Kessa could not help but smile despite her nervousness. "Yes, I am from another planet. Yes, we have spaceships. But no, I cannot fly." "That is okay," Sophie said cheerfully. "I cannot fly either." They showed Kessa to a room on the second floor. It had a soft bed, a desk, and a window looking out at the neighborhood. Amy had removed all animal products from the room after learning about Kessa's diet. There were plants in pots and pictures of gardens on the walls. "If you need anything, just ask," Amy said. "Dinner will be ready in an hour. We are having vegetable pasta for you." When Kessa came down for dinner, she saw the family gathered around a table. Danny and Sophie were eating the pasta with some kind of meat on the side. Amy ate only vegetables with Kessa. They talked about normal things: school, work, the weather. It was strange how normal they seemed, but Kessa could not ignore the small details. The way Danny's eyes tracked a bird flying past the window. The hunting instinct was there, buried but present. The kitchen knives hanging on the wall, so many sharp tools. The family dog, Max, who came up to sniff Kessa with interest. Max was a golden-colored animal with teeth made for tearing. "Max, be nice," Sophie said, petting the dog. "Kessa is our friend." Max wagged his tail and laid down near Kessa's chair. Despite her fear, Kessa found the dog's presence almost comforting. He was a predator too, but he had chosen to be gentle. Days passed, and Kessa began to understand humans better. Danny had been a Marine, a soldier. He had fought in wars. But now he worked as a teacher at a local school. He taught history to teenagers. "Why did you stop being a soldier?" Kessa asked him one evening. Danny looked at his coffee cup for a moment. "I served my time, did my duty, but I wanted to come home, raise my daughter in peace. Fighting is sometimes necessary, but it is not the life I want." "But you are good at fighting?" "Yes," Danny said honestly. "I am very good at it. But being good at something does not mean you should do it all the time. I would rather teach kids about the past so they can build a better future." Kessa found this fascinating. A predator who chose peace when he could choose war. Amy was similar. She worked as a nurse at a hospital, healing people. Her hands, which could hurt, chose to help instead. Sophie loved to talk about Earth's history. She told Kessa stories about ancient humans who lived in caves and hunted with spears. She explained how humans had climbed to the top of Earth's food chain through intelligence and cooperation. "We almost went extinct once," Sophie said seriously. "There were only a few thousand humans left. But we survived. We are really good at surviving." "That is frightening," Kessa admitted. "Why?" Because it means humans do not give up, ever. Sophie thought about this. I guess not. My dad says Marines never quit. I think humans are like that too. Meanwhile, far from Earth, something dangerous was happening. The Kreth swarm had heard about the new species that joined the galactic community. The Kreth were insect-like predators who raided prey species for slaves and resources. They had terrorized the galaxy for centuries. Their scouts had intercepted Council communications. They learned that humans were predators, yes, but they were new to space. They had limited ships and no real allies. The Council was afraid of them. This made the Kreth laugh. The Council was always afraid. War Master Scree, leader of the Kreth attack fleet, studied the data on Earth. Rich resources, billions of potential slaves, primitive space defenses. It was perfect. Prepare the fleet, Scree ordered. We attack in 1 week. The Council will not help them. They fear humans. They will let us take this world. Back on Earth, Kessa sat with Amy in the kitchen. Amy was teaching her how to make bread. Kessa's hands kneaded the dough, finding the repetitive motion calming. Amy, can I ask you something? Of course. Are you afraid of what you are capable of? Of the violence humans can do? Amy stopped kneading and looked at Kessa with serious eyes. Every day. But fear is not a bad thing, Kessa. Fear keeps us careful. It reminds us to choose wisely. Danny could hurt people, but he chooses to teach. I could harm my patients, but I choose to heal. We all have the capacity for terrible things. The important part is what we choose to do. The Council thinks humanity is dangerous. We are dangerous, Amy said simply. But dangerous does not mean evil. A knife is dangerous, but you can use it to cut vegetables or protect your family. Humans are like that. We can be weapons or we can be tools for good. It depends on what is needed. That night, Kessa sent a report to the Council. She explained what she had learned. Humans were predators, but they were not monsters. They had morals, ethics, and families. They chose peace when they could, but they were capable of war when necessary. She ended her report with a warning. Do not treat humans as prey. They are not. And do not treat them as enemies unless you want them to become enemies. They are survivors who will fight to protect what they love. The Council received her report with mixed reactions. Some were reassured, others remained afraid. But one thing was clear. Humanity was different from any species the Council had encountered before. The question was whether that difference would save the galaxy or doom it. In his bedroom, Danny checked the news on his tablet before sleep. There was a story about unusual activity at the edge of the solar system. Several unknown ships had been detected. Earth Defense Force said they were investigating. Danny frowned. His military instincts told him something was wrong. He looked at Amy sleeping beside him and Sophie's room down the hall. Whatever was coming, he would protect his family. It was what humans did. The alarms woke Kessa before dawn. She jumped out of bed, her heart racing. Downstairs, she heard Danny's voice, calm but commanding. Amy, get Sophie to the basement, now! Kessa rushed down the stairs. The television showed breaking news. 50 alien warships had appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were not Council ships. The reporter's voice was tense. Earth Defense Force has identified the vessels as belonging to the Kreth swarm, a hostile alien species. All civilians are ordered to move to designated shelters. This is not a drill. Danny was already dressed in old military clothes. He was checking a rifle, moving with practiced efficiency. Amy had Sophie by the hand, leading her to the basement door. What is happening? Kessa asked, though she already knew. The Kreth had come. The galaxy's most feared predators had chosen Earth as their next target. Looks like we have unwelcome visitors, Danny said. His voice was steady, but Kessa could see the tension in his shoulders. Amy, take Kessa and Sophie to the shelter. I need to report to the reserve base. Danny, be careful, Amy said, kissing him quickly. Always am, he replied with a small smile that did not reach his eyes. Kessa watched him leave, then followed Amy and Sophie to the basement. Other families were already gathering at the community shelter beneath the neighborhood school. Everyone moved quickly, but without panic. Kessa noticed that many adult humans carried weapons. They were preparing to fight if necessary. Above them, in orbit around Earth, Admiral Kate Foster stood on the bridge of the EDS Valor, humanity's largest warship. She watched the tactical display as Kreth vessels moved into formation, 50 ships. Each one was twice the size of Earth's biggest vessels. They had armor, shields, and weapons that could turn a city into ash. Admiral, we have a message from the Kreth, the communications officer said. Put it through. A face appeared on the screen. It was insect-like, with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. War Master Scree looked at Kate with what might have been amusement. Human Commander, I am War Master Scree of the Kreth Swarm. Your world will surrender immediately. You will open your cities and submit to Kreth authority. If you comply, we will be merciful. If you resist, we will take what we want and burn the rest. Kate met the alien's many eyes without flinching. This is Admiral Kate Foster of the Earth Defense Force. You have entered our solar system without permission and made threats against our world. You have one chance to turn your ships around and leave. If you do not, we will defend our home with everything we have. Scree made a sound like laughter. Foolish prey. You have 30 ships to our 50. Your weapons are primitive. Your defenses are weak. We have conquered worlds far stronger than yours. Surrender or die. Then I guess we will see you in battle, Kate said. She cut the transmission and turned to her crew. All ships, battle stations, activate all defense platforms, contact every nation. We need every fighter, every missile, every weapon we can get in space. Today, we show these bugs what humans are made of. Across Earth, military forces mobilized. Every country contributed what they could. Fighter pilots like Jake Morrison scrambled to their craft. Ground-based missile batteries came online. Satellites armed with kinetic weapons prepared to fire. Humanity had spent decades preparing for alien contact. They had hoped for peace, but prepared for war. In orbit near Earth, the Galactic Council's local defense fleet watched the developing situation. Commander Vrex of Moltar commanded 12 Council ships. They were supposed to monitor Earth and keep the peace, but Vrex had no intention of fighting the Kreth swarm. Commander, Earth Defense Force is requesting our assistance, his communications officer said. Vrex's slug-like body rippled with distaste. We will not engage. The Kreth want Earth. Let them have it. We must protect Council worlds. Set course away from the battle zone. But, Commander, our treaty requires us to defend new contact species. Humans are predators, Vrex said firmly. If the Kreth want to fight predators, that is their choice. We leave, now. The Council ships began moving away, abandoning Earth to face the Kreth alone. Jake Morrison, flying his fighter into position, watched them go with disgust. Cowards, he muttered. Then he focused on his mission. 36 human ships faced 50 Kreth warships. The odds were bad, but humans had faced bad odds before. The Kreth fleet advanced. They moved in a standard attack formation, the kind that had worked on hundreds of prey worlds. They expected the human ships to scatter or retreat. Prey species always ran when faced with superior force. Instead, the human ships accelerated toward them. Admiral Foster's voice came over all channels. All ships, target their command vessels first. Fighters, use swarm tactics. Capital ships, focus fire. Make every shot count. For Earth. For Earth, 10,000 voices replied. The two fleets collided in a storm of fire and metal. Kreth plasma weapons burned through space, destroying 2 human destroyers in the first volley. But human ships did not retreat. They pushed forward, returning fire with missiles and railgun rounds. Jake Morrison led his fighter squadron straight into the Kreth formation. The Kreth had fighters too, but they flew in rigid patterns, expecting prey to flee. Jake and his pilots used tactics the Kreth had never seen. They broke formation, attacked from multiple angles, and used the larger ships as cover. "This is Morrison to all fighters. Target their sensor arrays. Make them blind." Human fighters swarmed over Kreth capital ships, firing at specific weak points. The Kreth ships were powerful, but they were designed to fight prey species that used careful defensive tactics. They were not ready for humans who attacked like hunting wolves. Commander Pete Johnson commanded the destroyer Lightning Bolt. His ship took heavy damage from Kreth plasma fire. Hull breaches on 3 decks, weapons systems failing. He could retreat, try to save his ship and crew. But a Kreth capital ship was ahead, its weapons charging to destroy the Valor. Pete made his choice. "All hands, evacuate to escape pods. Engineering, give me everything the engines have left. We are going in." His crew protested, but Pete was firm. "That is an order. Get off my ship. I will see you all when this is over." The crew evacuated. Pete sat alone on his bridge, pointing the lightning bolt directly at the Kreth capital ship. He thought about his wife and kids safe on Earth. He thought about the millions of lives depending on this battle. Then he pushed the engines to maximum. The lightning bolt accelerated, taking more hits but not stopping. The Kreth saw what was happening too late. They tried to change course, but the human destroyer crashed into their ship at tremendous speed. The explosion lit up space like a new sun. Both ships were destroyed, but the Kreth formation broke apart in confusion. "They are insane," War Master Scree said, watching the battle. "What kind of prey species does this?" His second-in-command clicked his mandibles nervously. "War Master, they are not fighting like prey. They are hunting us." In the shelter beneath Phoenix, Kessa watched news reports on emergency screens. She saw human ships fighting and dying. She saw the terrible cost of war. But she also saw something the Kreth did not expect. Humans were not running. They were not surrendering. They were fighting with the fury of cornered predators protecting their territory. Sophie held Kessa's hand tight. "Will we win?" Kessa looked at the young human. She thought about Danny out there somewhere, about all the humans willing to die for their world. She thought about Admiral Foster, who had not hesitated when faced with superior numbers. She thought about Commander Johnson, who had sacrificed himself to save others. "Yes," Kessa said, and she meant it. "You will win, because you are not prey. You are predators, and predators protect their pack." Amy heard this and smiled through her tears. "Thank you, Kessa." On the Valor's bridge, Admiral Foster watched as 3 more Kreth ships exploded under concentrated human fire. The battle was far from over. They had lost 8 ships and hundreds of fighters. Thousands of humans were dead. But the Kreth were learning a terrible lesson. Humanity did not know how to surrender. They only knew how to fight. Kate opened a channel to all remaining ships. "This is Admiral Foster. I know you are tired. I know we have lost friends and comrades. But we cannot stop. Our families are down there. Our homes. Our world. The Kreth think they can take it from us. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth." The human ships pressed forward with renewed fury. Jake Morrison destroyed his 4th Kreth fighter. Ground-based missiles launched from Earth, adding their firepower to the battle. Even civilian ships, converted cargo haulers, and pleasure craft joined the fight carrying improvised weapons. War Master Scree felt something he had rarely experienced: doubt. His fleet was winning, but not by enough. The humans were taking terrible casualties, but they were inflicting terrible casualties too, and they showed no sign of stopping. "War Master, perhaps we should withdraw and regroup," his second-in-command suggested. "No," Scree said, but his voice lacked confidence. "We continue the attack. We will break them soon." But as he watched another Kreth capital ship explode under human fire, Scree wondered if he had made a terrible mistake. These humans were not prey. They were something else entirely. Something dangerous. The battle raged for 6 hours. Space around Earth was filled with debris and the flash of weapons fire. The Kreth swarm had destroyed 15 human ships, but they had lost 20 of their own. For the first time in centuries, the Kreth were actually losing. Captain Ryan Webb led a special operations team on a mission that seemed impossible. His stealth ship, the Shadow Runner, slipped through the chaos of battle toward the largest Kreth hive ship. Inside that vessel was the command center for the entire Kreth fleet. If they could damage it, they might turn the tide of battle. Ryan and his team of 12 Marines wore dark combat suits designed for zero gravity. They had trained for boarding actions, but never against an alien ship. They had no idea what they would find inside. "Remember," Ryan said to his team, "we move fast, we move quiet, and we get the job done. These bugs think they are the hunters. Let us show them what real predators can do." The Shadow Runner attached to the Kreth hive ship's hull. Cutting torches burned through the alien metal. Within minutes, they were inside. The corridors were dark and narrow, designed for insect bodies. The air smelled wrong, like chemicals and rot. Ryan's team moved through the ship like ghosts. They placed explosive charges on key systems as they went. Power junctions, environmental controls, weapon systems. The Kreth crew never saw them coming. When they did encounter Kreth warriors, the Marines used silenced weapons and close combat. The Kreth were bigger and stronger, but humans were faster and smarter. Private Luis Garcia crept through a side corridor and found a Kreth engineering station. 3 aliens worked at strange controls. Luis placed a charge on the main power conduit, set the timer, and slipped away before the Kreth even noticed. Back on the Valor, Admiral Foster watched the tactical display. The battle had reached a stalemate. Neither side could break through, but she had faith in Captain Webb's mission. If anyone could do the impossible, it was Ryan and his Marines. Jake Morrison's fighter wing was down to half strength. He was exhausted, his ship damaged, but he kept fighting. A Kreth fighter came at him from above. Jake rolled, dodged, and fired. The alien ship exploded. How many had he destroyed now? 6? 7? He had lost count. "Morrison, this is Valor. Pull back and rearm. You have done enough." "Not yet," Jake replied. He saw a squadron of Kreth fighters heading toward a damaged human cruiser. The cruiser's weapons were offline. It was defenseless. "I have some bugs to swat first." He pushed his fighter to maximum speed and intercepted the Kreth squadron. His weapons were nearly depleted, but he had enough for one more fight. The Kreth saw him coming and turned to engage. 3 against 1. Bad odds. But Jake had been in worse situations. He used the sun's glare to blind their sensors, came up beneath them, and fired. 1 Kreth fighter exploded. The other 2 split up to flank him. Jake cut his engines, letting momentum carry him forward while he spun his fighter around. The Kreth flew past him. He fired again. Another kill. The last Kreth fighter came at him head-on. Both pilots fired at the same time. Jake's shots hit the enemy's cockpit. The Kreth shots grazed his wing. Both fighters were damaged now, but the Kreth was worse off. It spiraled away, trailing atmosphere. "Morrison to damaged cruiser, you are clear. Get out of here." "Thank you, Morrison. You saved our lives." Inside the Kreth hive ship, Ryan's team had reached their main target. The command center was ahead, guarded by 20 Kreth warriors. There was no way to sneak past them. "Well," Ryan said to his team, "looks like we do this the loud way. Grenades first, then we rush them. For Earth." "For Earth," his Marines replied. They threw grenades into the corridor. The explosions disoriented the Kreth guards. Then the Marines charged. It was brutal combat. The Kreth were tough and fought with claws and mandibles as well as weapons. But humans were relentless. Sergeant Helen Torres emptied her rifle into a Kreth warrior, then used the empty weapon as a club when another jumped at her. Private Marcus Day threw a Kreth twice his size using leverage and determination. Ryan shot his way to the command center door and planted the last explosive charge. "Everyone out, 30 seconds." His team ran back through the corridors they had cleared. Behind them, the charges began detonating. First the small ones they had placed throughout the ship, then the big one on the command center. The Kreth hive ship shuddered and groaned. Lights flickered. Systems failed. The Shadowrunner waited where they had left it. Ryan's team climbed aboard just as the Kreth realized what was happening. Alien warriors rushed toward them, but too late. The stealth ship detached and accelerated away. Behind them, the hive ship's power core began to overload. On the Valor, Admiral Foster saw the hive ship's signal change on her tactical display. "What is happening to their flagship?" "Admiral, I am detecting massive internal damage. Their power systems are failing. Their weapons are offline." Kate smiled. "Ryan did it. All ships, focus fire on the Kreth flagship. We end this now." 20 human ships turned their weapons on the crippled hive ship. Missiles, railgun rounds, and energy weapons hit it from all sides. The Kreth flagship, which had seemed invincible hours ago, broke apart in a series of explosions. War Master Scree died, still not understanding how prey could fight like this. The remaining Kreth ships saw their command vessel destroyed and panicked. These were not prey species that scattered when hurt. These were predators that became more dangerous when threatened. The Kreth had no plan for this. Their doctrine assumed prey would eventually surrender, but humans did not surrender. "All ships retreat," the new Kreth commander ordered. "Withdraw from this cursed system." The Kreth fleet turned and ran. Admiral Foster wanted to chase them, destroy every last ship, but her fleet was too damaged. She let them go, watching as 30 Kreth vessels fled into deep space. They had arrived with 50 ships and left with 30, and they left behind thousands of dead. Kate opened a channel to all Earth forces. "All ships, cease fire. The Kreth are retreating. We have won." Cheers erupted across every human vessel. In the shelters on Earth, people cried with relief. The battle was over. Earth was safe. In the Phoenix shelter, Kessa heard the announcement and felt her legs give out. Sophie caught her, the small human girl supporting the alien ambassador. "We won," Sophie said, tears streaming down her face. "We really won." Kessa looked at the humans around her. They were crying, laughing, hugging each other. They had faced the galaxy's most feared predators and survived. No, more than survived. They had won. Amy pulled Kessa into a hug. "Thank you for believing in us." "I did not believe at first," Kessa admitted. "I was afraid of you, of what you could do. But now I understand. You are dangerous, yes, but you use that danger to protect what you love. That is not something to fear. That is something to respect." Hours later, Danny Clark came home. He was dirty and exhausted, but unhurt. He had been at the reserve base, helping coordinate ground defenses that thankfully were never needed. Amy and Sophie ran to him, and Kessa watched the family embrace. This was what humans fought for, not conquest or glory. They fought for quiet moments like this, for family dinners and children's laughter and the simple peace of home. They were predators, but they were predators with hearts. Up in orbit, Jake Morrison landed his fighter back on the Valor. His hands shook as he climbed out of the cockpit. He had survived. So many had not. He thought about Commander Johnson, who had sacrificed himself, about the thousands of crew members who died on destroyed ships. They had paid a terrible price for victory. Admiral Foster called a meeting of all ship commanders. Ryan Webb attended remotely from the Shadowrunner. His mission had changed everything. Kate looked at her officers with pride. "Today, we faced an enemy that has terrorized the galaxy for centuries. They thought we would be easy prey. They were wrong. We showed them what humans can do when we fight for our home. We showed them that predators come in many forms. What about the council? Ryan asked. Their ships ran away and left us to die. Kate's expression hardened. The council will learn that humanity does not forget. We wanted friendship, but we will settle for respect. Let the galaxy know what happened here today. Let them know that Earth stands alone if it must, but it stands. The officers agreed. Humanity had passed a test today. They had proven they could survive in a dangerous galaxy. The question now was what came next. Far across the galaxy, the surviving Kreth ships limped home. They carried a message that would spread to every predatory species. Earth was off limits. Humans were not prey. They were apex predators who had beaten the Kreth swarm, and that was something no one had done before. Kessa sat at the Clark's kitchen table late that night writing her report to the council. Her hands still trembled, but her message was clear. The Kreth attacked Earth today. The council fleet abandoned them, but humanity did not need our help. They fought with courage, intelligence, and sacrifice. They lost thousands, but saved billions. I must correct my earlier assessment. Humans are not just predators. They are the galaxy's finest warriors when their families are threatened. The council must decide. Do we want humans as allies or as strangers? Because after today, they will never be prey. 3 weeks after the battle, the Galactic Council convened for an emergency session. Representatives from every member species filled the vast chamber. The air was thick with tension and argument. At the center of it all stood Ambassador Nicole Price, the first official human representative to the Council. Nicole was a former diplomat who had negotiated peace treaties on Earth. She was calm, professional, and absolutely unwilling to accept disrespect. She stood at the speaking platform while dozens of alien species watched her with various expressions: fear, curiosity, anger, and in a few cases, admiration. High Counselor Dren raised himself to his full height, his slug-like body rippling. Ambassador Price, humanity has demonstrated extreme violence. You destroyed 20 Kreth vessels and killed thousands. You used nuclear weapons in space. You rammed ships into each other. This is not civilized behavior. Nicole met his multiple eyes without flinching. High Counselor, the Kreth swarm attacked Earth without provocation. They threatened to enslave our population and burn our cities. We defended ourselves with the tools we had. If that makes us uncivilized in your eyes, I will accept that judgment. But know this, we would do it again without hesitation. An avian representative from Skara spoke up. But you are predators, carnivores. How can we trust you will not turn your violence on us? How can we trust you? Nicole replied sharply. Your defense fleet abandoned us to die. Commander Vrex fled while the Kreth attacked. We were left alone to face an enemy that has terrorized this galaxy for centuries, and we won. So the question is not whether you can trust us. The question is whether we can trust you. The chamber erupted in shocked murmurs. No one had spoken to the council like this before. Most new species begged for acceptance and tried to please the council. But Nicole was not begging. She was demanding respect. Kessa stood from her seat. May I speak? Dren nodded reluctantly. Ambassador Kessa, you may address the council. Kessa walked to stand beside Nicole. Honored council members, I have lived with humans for 2 months. I have seen their families. I have eaten at their tables. I have watched their children play. Yes, they are predators, but they are also kind, loyal, and protective. They fight, but only when necessary. They kill, but only in defense of those they love. They are still dangerous, another counselor argued. Yes, they are dangerous, Kessa agreed. But the galaxy is dangerous. The Kreth swarm has destroyed 47 council worlds in the past century. How many more will fall because we are too afraid to fight? Humans are not afraid. They stood alone against the Kreth and won. That is not a weakness. That is strength we desperately need. An elderly counselor from Priya spoke in a gentle voice. What is humanity proposing? Nicole stepped forward. Earth proposes a mutual defense treaty. We will provide military training and support to any council species that requests it. We will help defend prey worlds against predatory threats like the Kreth. In return, we want trade agreements, cultural exchange, and access to council technology that can improve life on Earth. You want to be our protectors? Dren asked skeptically. We want to be your allies, Nicole corrected. We are not asking to rule anyone. We are offering to stand beside you when threats arise. The Council has many peaceful species with knowledge and culture humanity respects. But you lack the military strength to defend yourselves. We have that strength. Together, we can create a safer galaxy. The debate continued for hours. Some species remained opposed, fearing humanity's predatory nature. But others, especially those who had lost worlds to the Kreth, began to see the logic. Having predators as allies might not be so bad, especially when the alternative was extinction. Finally, a vote was called. The proposal passed with 60% approval. Earth would become a full member of the Galactic Council with the special role of primary military defender. It was unprecedented, but so was humanity. After the session, Kessa found Nicole outside the council chambers. That was brave what you did in there. Nicole smiled. I learned from the best. Danny Clark told me that respect is earned, not given, so I stopped asking for respect and started demanding it. Will it work? Can humans really protect the galaxy? We will try. That is all anyone can do. Back on Earth, life was returning to normal. The battle damage was being repaired. Memorials were built for those who died defending their world, and humanity prepared for its new role in the galaxy. The Clark family hosted a celebration dinner for Kessa before she left Earth to return to her duties. Danny grilled vegetables on the barbecue while Amy made her famous pasta. Sophie had made a card for Kessa with drawings of humans and aliens holding hands. I am going to miss you, Sophie said, hugging Kessa. I will miss you too, but we will see each other again. Earth and Valar will be friends now. Danny handed Kessa a plate of food. You know, when you first got here, you were terrified of me. I was, Kessa admitted. Your predator instincts frightened me, but now I understand them better. You are protective, not aggressive. You watch for danger to keep your family safe. That is not something to fear. We are all products of our evolution, Amy said. Humans evolved as hunters, yes, but we also evolved as caretakers. We protect our young, care for our sick, and help those who cannot help themselves. Both instincts are part of who we are. Later that evening, Kessa stood in the backyard looking up at the stars. Tomorrow she would leave Earth and begin her work as a liaison between humanity and the Council. It was a big responsibility, but she was ready. Jake Morrison had been promoted to commander and given a squadron of the new fighters Earth was building. The design incorporated lessons learned from the Kreth battle. Faster, more maneuverable, and equipped with better weapons. If anyone attacked Earth again, they would face an even stronger defense. Admiral Foster was appointed as the head of the new Galactic Defense Initiative. She would coordinate Earth's military forces with Council requests for aid. Already, 3 prey worlds had asked for human assistance in defending against pirate raids. Ryan Webb and his Special Operations team became the foundation of an elite unit designed for the most dangerous missions. They trained other humans and even some brave Council species in advanced combat tactics. The galaxy was learning that prey could become predators if they had the right teachers. 6 months after the battle, the first joint Earth Council mission took place. A Kreth raiding party was attacking a mining colony on the edge of Council space. Instead of abandoning the colony, the Council called for help. 5 human warships arrived within 3 days. The Kreth raiders, remembering Earth, immediately retreated without firing a shot. The mining colony was saved without a single casualty. Word spread quickly. Humanity did not just fight for themselves, they fought for their allies too. In the Clark household, life continued peacefully. Danny taught his students about Earth's new place in the galaxy. Amy treated patients at the hospital, including several alien visitors who had come to Earth to learn about humans. Sophie made friends with a young Moran student who was studying at her school. One evening, a news program showed footage of human ships patrolling the border of Council space. The reporter explained how humanity's military presence had reduced pirate attacks by 70% in just 6 months. Prey species that had lived in fear for generations could now travel safely. Danny watched the report with pride. "We did that. Earth did that." "Are you proud to be human?" Sophie asked. Danny thought about the question carefully. "I am proud of what we choose to do with our nature. Yes, we are predators. Yes, we are capable of violence. But we choose to use that strength to protect others. That is what makes us good, not our instincts, but our choices." Far across the galaxy, in the dark spaces between stars, the surviving Kreth swarm leaders gathered. They had learned a painful lesson. Earth was not a target. It was a threat. They would need to avoid human space and find easier prey. But they also learned something else. The galaxy was changing. The Council, which had been weak and defenseless for so long, now had teeth. Those teeth were human, and they bit hard. Kessa sat in her new office on the Council station. Her walls were decorated with pictures from Earth, the Clark family smiling together, the memorial to those who died in the battle, a human flag next to the Council banner. She was writing her annual report about humanity's integration into galactic society. Humans have exceeded all expectations as members of the Galactic Council. Their military has defended 6 worlds from attack. Their technology has been shared freely with allies. Their culture, music, and art have enriched Council civilization. Yes, they are predators, but they are predators who hunt other predators. They are the shield that stands between prey species and those who would harm us. She paused, thinking about how to end the report. Then she smiled and wrote the final paragraph. "A year ago, I stood before this council and cried out a warning. Humans are predators, not prey. I was frightened then, but now I understand the truth. We do not need to fear humanity's predatory nature. We need to thank the universe that such predators exist, because in a galaxy full of dangers, it is good to have predators on our side. Predators who protect instead of destroy. Predators who choose mercy over cruelty. Predators who are, in the end, our friends." Kessa submitted her report and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships patrolled the darkness, keeping the galaxy safe. Somewhere out there, Danny was teaching his students. Amy was healing patients. Sophie was growing up in a world where aliens were neighbors, not threats. The galaxy had changed. Humanity had changed it. And despite her initial fears, Kessa believed it was a change for the better. In a small ceremony on Earth, Admiral Foster stood before a crowd of military personnel and civilians. She was dedicating a new memorial to Commander Johnson and all those who died defending Earth. The memorial was a simple black wall with thousands of names carved into it. "These people died so that humanity could survive," Kate said. "They faced impossible odds and chose to fight anyway. Because that is what humans do. We do not surrender to evil. We do not bow to tyranny. We stand up, we fight back, and we protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is our legacy. That is who we are." The crowd stood in silence, honoring the fallen. Then slowly they began to applaud, not for victory or glory, but for sacrifice and courage, for the human spirit that refused to break even when breaking seemed inevitable. As the sun set over Earth, casting long shadows across the memorial, humanity looked to the stars with new purpose. They were no longer alone in the universe. They had allies, friends, and responsibilities. They were protectors now, guardians of the weak and defenders of the innocent. and if anyone doubted what humans would do to protect those they cared about, they only needed to ask the Kreth. Or better yet, they could simply remember the warning that echoed across the galaxy. Humans are predators, not prey. And in a dangerous universe, that might be exactly what everyone needs.